There we go.
Yeah, it meaning, isn't it? You can hear us now.
Okay, can y'all hear us now?
Oh, I'm not on the show yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I should leave the picture.
You haven't even been introduced yet.
I'll leave the picture.
Okay. Well, this is live radio, y'all, and it really helps if I unmute the microphone when we get started. But hey, you are listening to Let Us Reason Together, and I'm getting all choked up about that. And I am so glad that you have joined us today. You are listening on Lamb Radio, and you are also listening on YouTube Live. And so we're really thankful that you have joined us today. And so what is Let Us Reason Together? Well, first off, let me introduce myself. My name is John Craig, and I'm your second day of the week host for Let Us Reason Together. It is based off of Isaiah 1:18. Come now and let us reason together, says Yahweh, though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool. So this is where we sit down and reason out current events, cultural shifts, and of course, this week's Torah portion. We can either push back or push through. Nevertheless, if iron does not sharpen iron, sparks will never fly, let alone ever get a fire going. And without a little heat and a good midrash, how will our hearts ever get soft and moldable enough to be transformed in the way that the Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, wants us to be? So today is Monday, October the 29th, 2018. It is the 20th day of the 8th month of Cheshvan in the Hebrew year 5779. You are listening to an interactive show. So what's that mean? Well, one is that you can call in during the live program, and that number is a new number, so you might want to write this down. It is 910-803-3211. Let me say that again because you might not have your pen ready. It is 910-803-3211. Also, we are on YouTube Live, so therefore the chat room is open and the Lamb chat is open on Lamb Chat Radio. So you can go there, interact with us in the show that way. Also, you can visit our Facebook page and at Lamb Radio, and our website is Isaiah118.com. So if you happen to miss the radio, you can go to our website and catch the archive there, or you can go back here to YouTube Live and watch the archive. So we want to encourage you to do that, because sometimes I know you got to go answer a phone or leave the room or take care of business. So come back and join us at any time. But we like it when you're here live with us. Also, I want to make this point is that here on Lamb Radio and Lamb Tube is that we are here because of you. So we want to say thank you so much for your donations to Lamb Radio, and those that have never given to Lamb Radio but you believe in this cause, help us keep this radio program on the air, this radio station on the air, and so that we can continue to serve the community of the body of Messiah. And I'm not going to say limited to the Hebrew roots or Messianic community, because we are global and we are reaching far and beyond. So what is today? What is this? Today is a special day. So I'm going to hit some things before we go into the Torah portion, the half Torah, the Brit Chadasha, because we're going to hit some of those as well and have a good discussion. But let's talk about today is being celebrated as National Monkey with Grenade Day. It's a day that's celebrated, National Monkey with Grenade. So let me just say this, stay away from monkeys with grenades. And as I said earlier in the War Room show, I was hanging out in the trees, monkeying around this weekend. So doing some tree trimming, but I did not have a grenade. So that's probably a good thing, because those of you that know me as Sparky or Taz know that sparks around me sometimes can be quite damaging to my health. I don't know. All right, let's go on. Hey, it's also Fridge Washing Day. Fridge Washing Day. It's also Authorship Appreciation Day. Know any authors? And it's House Spiders Salvation Day. Spare the spiders. That's what it's all about. Hey, here's some other things going on. It's International Internet Day, observed annually on October 29th. It's National Cat Day, National Hermit Day, National Oatmeal Day, World Psoriasis Day, and also World Stroke day, things that are being observed on this day on October 29th. Other things are happening in the month of October. Boy, there's so many things going on. I don't have a chance to go through all of them, but here's some things. It's Computer Learning Month, Country Music Month, Crime Prevention Month. How about Eat Better, Eat Together Month? I'm not going to say Eat Country Ham Month. Oops, I did say that. I don't recommend pork. It is the leading cause of cancer. Pork is. You don't want to do that to your body. That's why he always says that we should not eat, or some of the other things. The dietary laws are there for a reason, not because they're just Old Testament. They're there for a reason. So eat clean. Also, it's Emotional Intelligence Awareness Month, Emotional Wellness Month, Employee Ownership Month, and Energy Management is a Family Affair. Improve Your Home Month. So there's some other things that are going on as well. I want to say this. We still have a couple days left. I said it last week. It is Clergy Appreciation Month, or Pastor Appreciation Month. So if you have your congregational leadership and you have not appreciated them this month, hey, take a moment, write a card, send them a note, let them know how much you appreciate what they do for you and your congregation. By the way, it's also National Pretzel Month, National Reading Month, National Sarcastic Awareness Month. How about that for a few different things? And it's Wishbones for Pets Month. I don't know what that's about. So anyway, and one last thing I do want to mention, it's Spinach Lovers Month. Do you like spinach? I do. I really like spinach, but I like it in the raw form, not so much in the canned form. Not to say that the canned form can't have its benefits, but I like raw spinach. How about the quote of the day? Positive quote of the day from Harvey Mackay. Do what you love what you do, and deliver more than you promise. That is a good work ethic right there. Do more than what you promise. You will please your customers and your family and all those that are around you. And so how about that? Here's the funny quote of the day. So I say funny quote of the day. It means you got to get ready to say ha or ha ha and laugh with me. This is from W.C. Fields. And this is, a rich man is nothing but a poor man with money. Think about that. And how about from Anonymous about the love quote of the day? Love is like a butterfly. It settles upon you when you least expect it. How about that? Okay, here's the verse of the day. This is based on the Brit Chadasha portion that we have listed, and this is from John 4:13 and 14, where Yeshua is talking with the woman at the well. And it says, Yeshua answered and said to her, everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I will give him shall never thirst. But the water that I will give him will become in him a well of water springing up to eternal life. That's a good verse. How about this? What happened on this day in history? Today, on October 29th, in history, in 539 BC, remember King Cyrus? Yep, King Cyrus the Great of Persia marches into Babylon, freeing the Jewish captives and allowing them to return home. This was a big deal. Right after the event where Daniel was brought in to interpret the handwriting on the wall. How about this? In 1390, it was the first trial for witchcraft in Paris. In 1727, let me say that again, 1727. This is 100 years after the Pilgrims landed on Plymouth Rock, just a little bit beyond that. There was a severe earthquake where? In New England, a severe earthquake in New England. So New England, you are in an earthquake zone. So just be aware. In 1863, the International Committee of the Red Cross forms as a result of the Geneva-held conference. So that's when the Red Cross was formed. And then in 1923, remember the Ottoman Empire? Well, on this day, Turkey declares independence They are the successor state of the Ottoman Empire. And in 1929, 1929, on this date in history was Black Tuesday, where Wall Street stock market crashes, triggering the Great Depression. And 1969, the Supreme Court orders an end to all school desegregation at once, is what they said. That was on this day in 1969. How about 1974? A little known law, but maybe you remember this. There was a law that was passed that bans discrimination of sex or marital status in credit application. That kind of caught my attention because I didn't know that was a thing before 1974. And in 2008, remember Delta Airlines? Remember Northwest Airlines? Well, they merged in 2008 in the middle of the big crisis, the economic crisis of 2008, creating the world's largest airline and reducing the number of U.S. legacy carriers to 5. And in 2012, well, I have to mention this because the name is similar to my beloveds. Hurricane Sandy makes landfall in New Jersey, resulting in 110 deaths and $50 billion in damage, and forces the New York Stock Exchange to close. Yes, my wife is named Sandy, but not with a Y. She is Sandy with an I. And she is and unlike the Hurricane Sandy, when she comes into the room, she's like a breath of fresh air. So she's over off to the side because I have not introduced her yet, but she's laughing. And then in 2015, here's something else that I didn't realize took place, that China announces the end of their one-child policy after 35 years. So that was in 2015. Famous birthdays today. Well, here's an infamous birthday. Joseph Goebbels, German politician and Reich Minister of Propaganda in Nazi Germany. Was born in Rate, Germany, and he was born in 1897, and he died in 1945. So why in 1945? Because I think he was executed. But let's go on from there. In 1938, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Who is Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? She was born in 1938. She is the president of Liberia from 2006 and currently, and she's the first elected female head of a state in Africa, and she was born in Monrovia, Liberia. So the first elected female head of state in Africa is a Liberian. Richard Dreyfuss' birthday is today. He was born in 1947, known for Jaws, Nuts, Mr. Holland's Opus. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. And Kate Jackson, she was born in 1948, known for The Rookies and Charlie's Angels, was born in Birmingham, Alabama. So all you Charlie's Angels fans out there, yep, Kate Jackson, birthday is today. Also, it's time. It's really time. And I've got with me from the great state of South Carolina, from the beautiful Myrtle Beach, I've got James Meyers. Welcome today, James. And it is good to have you. And I could see your smiling face with us right now on YouTube.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, we're good. You know,
I like
James,
this.
I'm
a big fan of this. It's awesome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's the first time I've ever seen you live and not in person, but at least live.
Yes, it is. This is awesome. Now it's almost like we're all together.
That's right. So it's good to have you there, and I hope things are doing well for you there on the East Coast.
They are. Things are good. The weather's cooling down, which is what I like. So that's good.
There you go. So is it still beach going days?
No, it's probably like 60. That's cold for us. So
yeah, that's cold. Okay. What's the water like?
I haven't been in it. I don't know. Whenever you move to the beach, you never get in it anymore. I don't know what's wrong, but you just never get in it.
That's so true. You know, All I can say is that's true wherever we live. Live in the mountains. Do you ever get to go hiking in the mountains? Or if you live in the mountains, do you get to go skiing? I don't know. I mean, those are some of the things that we got to think about. I have also next to me, getting ready to join me on camera, Miss Sandi Craig.
What if
Mrs. Sandi Craig.
Okay, what if I decide not to join you?
Well, if you decided not to join me, I would get that shepherd's crook. I'm going to pull you in. That's right. I'm so glad that you're here, and you are a breath of fresh air when you walk into the room.
That's not what you always say. I'm joking. Okay. All right.
So,
well, I'm glad to be here today. Are you glad to have me here?
I am glad to have you here. We're missing Tom Collins today, and he had some personal family things to be taken care of, so he's not able to join us. But we will hopefully we'll see him back next week. And do you realize that this is the last Monday of October?
I know there's a time change. I wish we would just keep it like this every day of the year.
Every day of the year. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. So I got some things.
Coming. I didn't say the last word. Coming.
Okay. Well, I've got some things for both you, James and Sandi, that I hope you're going to enjoy, and for all of our listeners and viewers here on YouTube and Lamb Radio, some things that will jumpstart your brain today on this Monday, because I think everybody needs to jumpstart their brain. So it's some wit for the day to help untwist your brain and some points to ponder. So I'm going to pick on women today.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So hopefully this is dangerous, James, because when we do this, it's like open mouth, insert foot. So hopefully
I'm not sure I'm in for this game.
All right. So this is a woman should have, and every woman should know. Okay. So bear with me here. Number one, please do not be offended. This is not about being offended. I'm trying to be. Okay. Aspire to be Barbie. Wait for it. That girl has everything. So, isn't that true?
I don't even get that.
Aspire to be Barbie. That girl has everything. I mean, think about it. She's got Ken. She's got a car. She's got a house. She's got every change of clothes.
But everything's made out of plastic. I tell women to be Barbie because Barbie literally, or at least the old Barbies, represent what the media tells us we should be. And that's not good.
Okay. Well, see, I'm just saying a guy wrote this.
I'm sorry. I didn't find that funny.
All right. How about this? All right. So how's number two? If the shoe fits, buy them in every color. All right. How about that?
My wife would agree with that.
Okay. See, I think there's some women that are going to agree with me on these things. How about this? Take life with a pinch of salt, a wedge of lime, and a shot of tequila. I did not write that, but that's what it says. It's on my list. All right. So how about this? In need of a support group? Okay. I didn't write this. Cocktail hour with the girls. What's that about?
None of this is realistic.
Okay. All right. I'm just reading the list. Okay. Twist the ponder and twist the brain a little bit.
Here's one. If you want to, if you're stressed out, have your husband watch the kids and take care of the dishes, and you go sit in a bubble bath with some music and a book.
Okay. All right.
That would be better.
I'm just saying some things here. I mean,
okay.
I think women contributed to this, by the way. I don't know. But here we go. Here about this one. Go on the 30-day diet. It says, I'm on it, and so far I've lost 15 days.
That was funny.
Okay. How about this? When life gets you down, just put on your big girl panties and deal with it.
I said that.
You say that?
Well, not in those words, no.
Well, sometimes we need bigger drawers. Okay. How about this? Let your greatest fear.
That's bad.
All right. Go with it, right? It's your greatest fear. Should I say this on the air?
Probably not. No idea. Where is it?
Number 7. I'm being filtered right now.
Whatever. You
My
said word.
face is blood red over here.
I said word. I just got the okay from my wife. Let your greatest fear be that there is no PMS, and this is just your personality. Untwist your brain. Just go with it, all right? Just points to ponder, all right? I'm just I'm in my own little world, but it's okay. They know me here. I know I'm in my own little world, but it's okay. They know me here. Okay. Lead me not into temptation. I can find it myself. This knickers in a knot. It solves nothing, but
what?
It solves nothing, but makes you walk funny. Okay.
Your knickers.
Your knickers.
Man, that's a common term these days, John.
I know. All right. It's a thing. Okay. Remember, wherever there's a good-looking, sweet, single, or married man, there is probably some woman tired of his behavior.
That's really true.
That's true. Yes.
It's true.
Probably.
It's probably true. That's what my wife says. Okay. And by the time a woman realizes her mother was right, she has a daughter who thinks she's wrong. Dun-dun-dun. There we go. Those are some things. I hope your brain is untwisted a little bit. That's it's jump started and you're not offended. Oh my goodness. How come people get so offended?
Because that's you really want me to go there?
Let's
not go there.
We're gonna go on. We're gonna move. Hey, I want to remind everybody to that this is a call-in show, so you can call us and be part of the conversation at 910-803-3211.
But if you call in and we missed it, just give us a second. It'd be our first time to take a call in this format, so we might have messed up.
Right. So if you want to call, just give us a chance or call us right back again until we finally get connected. So anyway, hey, we are ready for the Haftorah Brit Chadasha portion, and this week is what's this week's Torah portion? Kai Sarah, right?
Yep.
Which is the life of Sarah. Life of Sarah, which is, by the way, what is our Haftorah is 1 Kings 1:1-31, and
well, it depends on what you look at. I wouldn't say that because different people have different ones. I just let it go.
This is the one that I have. But,
well,
anyway, James, what do you have for us today?
I'm gonna do the Brit Chadasha portion. On Yochanan 4:3-14.
Okay.
All right, and I'm just going to read it off real quick, and then we'll talk about it. So he left Judea. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, here we go. So he left Judea and went back again to the Sea of Galilee, but he needed to pass through Samaria. So he comes to a Samaritan town called Shechem, near the plot of land that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. So Yeshua, exhausted from the journey, was sitting by the well. It was midday. The Samaritan woman comes to draw water and says, give me a drink. Yeshua tells her, for his disciples had gone away to the town to buy food. Then the Samaritan woman tells him, how is it that you, a Jew, ask me, for the Samaritan woman, for a drink? Yeshua replied to her, if you knew the gift of Elohim and who it was saying to you, and who was saying it to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Sir, the woman tells him, you don't even have a bucket, and the well is deep. Then from where do you get this living water? And this is an important verse. It says, you're not greater than our father Jacob, are you? He gave us this well. He drank out of it himself, and with his sons and with his cattle. Yeshua replied to her, Everyone who drinks from this water will get thirsty again, but whoever drinks of this water that I will give them will never thirst. The water that I give him will become a fountain of water within him, springing up from eternal life. Um, so the thing I was going to discuss is basically, who is this? How are these people the children of Jacob if they're the Samaritans? It tells me that there must have been a little bit more than just the Jews during this point that were part of the tribes of Israel, and that the Samaritans were part of the children of Israel. So I was kind of going through this, and then was reading it and was just really kind of breaking it down. And if you look, and it discusses this woman saying, "Hey, this is our forefather Jacob's well." So we're going to see in our Torah portion too that actually Jacob meets Rebecca, or sorry, Isaac meets Rebecca during this during our Torah portion at this same well. These wells come up all throughout the Torah. We see it all throughout. And another thing is that, and I forget, I think it's in Genesis. It's in Genesis. I think it's when Jacob's going out, but the Ishmaelites keep basically putting dirt back in the well, and they keep having to redig the well. And in my opinion, it's almost like a how would I say it? Basically, it's like they were basically the word. In my opinion, the well is considering the word. It's considering the God's word that's being covered up, and we keep having to dig through it and to find the truth and to search for the truth. But it just was really neat when you were looking into this, is that Yeshua goes to these people. They're called Samaritans, and they are part of Israel, and they had been divided during King Jeroboam. I think it's during Solomon's son Jeroboam. Had basically, what had happened was the kingdom had split because Jeroboam had started putting these high taxes on the people, and he was taxing them, and finally they said, "We're done with it. Solomon's not king. We're not building a kingdom anymore. Why are you taxing us like this?" And the kingdom split into half, and it split the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and some Levites. They stayed to the south, and they became the southern kingdom called Judah. And then you've got the northern kingdom of Israel, where the 10 tribes of the north had split, and they went to the north. So at this time now, the kingdom has become two. It has become divided, and a kingdom divided will never succeed. We know that. And so basically they're split up. And then from this point on, it's a divided kingdom. And until Yeshua comes back, he had already came back and started restoring the kingdom. But until he comes back, the kingdom will not be renewed. It will not be full. And the two sticks will not be one until Yeshua takes both sticks and puts them in his hand, according to Ezekiel, and they become one in his hand. So we're just going to talk about a divided kingdom today, and what's going to happen when Yeshua comes back, and how we're going to be one in his hand.
You know, the divided kingdom, I mean, it seems like, isn't it? Let's look at it from this perspective. The divided kingdom is, when we look at what Yeshua says, that a kingdom divided against itself will not stand. And we know on that historical side of it, we have that 1-to-1 process where we see it at the beginning, we see it in the garden, we see where we have Adam, and he is put to sleep. And we see that Hava comes out of Adam, and they become two. And then it says that the two shall become one. So they become that one unit as a husband and wife. And we see that with Israel, where Israel was one nation, and that nation, that one kingdom, was divided into two, which is again that representation. One became two, which means by the same pattern, prophetically speaking, the two shall become one. But what does Hasatan want to do with us? He wants to keep us divided. And I mean, think about all of the divisions that are going on, that are out there. I mean, how many 35 some odd thousand Christian denominations. We think about how churches are divided. There's church splits. There's divisions that go on there. Even within the Messianic, the Hebrew roots, there have been congregational splits. There have been groups that have split where there is a disagreement within the group. So one group goes off in one direction and another group goes in another direction. They split over the calendar. They split over the observances of the days and all of that. And yet, even as Sandy and I have been experiencing, where we have seen how people within certain congregations even have a desire to destroy other congregations, which is crazy. But this is really what the work of Hasatan is up and about to do, to try to keep us divided. And I think what was really interesting in that passage that you read there, James, was how Yeshua was not didn't come to talk about the divisions. He did speak the truth and said, we're going to worship. The place to worship is Jerusalem, but his purpose was not about to accentuate the differences, but actually to say, let's focus on the real issue. Everybody needs living water. Everybody needs the water. It's the same water. If we're drinking from the same well, we're drinking from the same water, then we all get the same life. And that's where the unity comes back in. So, Sandy, do you have some thoughts on that?
Well, the problem is we don't all drink from the same well. Wells in and of themselves are like seed places because they bring forth life. And it says in the word, out of our bellies shall flow living water. And I've been teaching about the 4 rivers of Eden and how they're connected to the Shamash, to Yeshua, who is the living water. But as James is talking about division, think about this. We see in our next Torah portion, it's not this one, but the wells are stopped up. Prophetically, they want to stop the flow of living water. And when we see division within the body, that's Hasatan using people, brothers and sisters, against themselves, because we're not walking in the fullness of the kingdom, because it is a kingdom against kingdom issue, to stop the prophetic flow of living water that comes forth from someone else. And that's division. It's a kingdom issue. And instead of, I've heard other teachers talk about the Samaritans. Well, they're dumb people, they're horrible people, they're of this day. But guess what? They were part of Israel. They were part of the divided land. They were still part of Israel, and as so many are. But if we want to accentuate the differences instead of bringing forth, hey, this is our common ground, let's start here and build upon it, we're always going to remain divided. Our goal should be to take the debris and take the plugs out of the well so that the water can flow, the living water can flow once again and bring forth life. Remember that living water is not just water, it is light. If you look at it, the water itself, the river, those words that are used for that signify light and radiance. And what is that? What brings forth light? It's the Torah. And the Torah is light and living water when it's connected to Yeshua. But there are wells that are connected to other source that bring forth different seed. But right now we're talking about the division amongst brothers and sisters, and that is stopping the flow of living water. And we have got to stop looking at what's wrong with our brother, get the plank out of our own eye, and start building one another back up. Because as long as we have our eyes on each other, our eyes are not on him, and we're not building his kingdom, we're actually working for the enemy.
Yeah, that's good. I was thinking about the flow of a river, and you think about Ezekiel's river and the river in Revelations, how it flows from the throne. So if it flows from the head, or the head waters is the throne in Jerusalem, is something that will be fulfilled. It will take place in the future. And so where does that spring forth from? It is like a well of living water that will spring forth and flow. And in Ezekiel's river, that river, as he crosses it, each time becomes deeper and deeper, and it's full of life. And what happens when we're causing that division? It's that poisonous flow. What happens to the life in that flow? So, James, what are your thoughts?
You brought up a good point too when you said that man will cling to his wife and they'll become one. They'll become one flesh. And a lot of times we think of it. I don't know. A lot of the anti-missionaries, they'll teach that the word of God means one. It means singular. So God has to be one. Well, look at it. We are to become two, are to become one. Man shall leave his father and mother and shall cling to his wife, becoming a echad, one flesh. And that's how we're supposed to be. The body's supposed to be united. We're not supposed to be divided. And we have to find the things that we have in common. I have people getting on my Facebook page every day. Oh, you spell Yeshua this way. You spell Yeshua this way. It's with an A. It's with an H. And you're like, come on, man. And I like put this long post the other day. I was like, as long as we're arguing over how to spell his name, which I haven't been given the revelation yet. The revelation to me is Yeshua. And until God gives me the revelation on this is how it's spelled, I'm going with what I've got. But we've got to quit being divided. We've got to become united and become united in Yeshua. That's what he taught. He didn't teach us to be divided like this.
Exactly right. Why is it so important to be right on certain things when a lot of times we're just talking about phonetics and we're talking about a language that we're all trying to figure out how to say it in English, and we need to really look at what's really important, what's the significance, and I think the word's really clear about it. Eddie Chemney was at our congregation a couple weeks ago, and we need to major on what the major is, and that's to show mercy, to judge rightly, and to walk humbly with our Elohim, with our King. And what else is there? What if we are out there trying to nitpick all different things, then who cares? Honestly, who really cares? Because people really don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. I mean, that's just the bottom line on it. And so that's some really good points, James. Well, that was really good. I appreciate that. Let's move on to our next section here. And this is on the current event article. And I just pulled this up off of stevequail.com. And this is an article. So you can go there and you can find it. It's on the current board, stevequail.com. And the article is Normalcy Bias and the Fourth Turning. And this was website christianmercenary.blogspot.com. So I'm just going to tell you right up front, this is an opinion piece, and it's going to have details in it regarding, but really what it's doing is bringing us back to the cultural and the current events of what's happening today, as we've seen what sociologists have shown how different things cycle through the ages. You know, we're talking about water from the well. You know, how many times do we just need, we need to understand the cycles of life here. And so here's what the article is talking about. And it says there's an article on Zero Hedge discussing the fourth turning, which places America on the same 80 to 100 year cycle, or which is called the Secula, as it was during the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the Great Depression, and World War II. This is something I've been thinking about for some time. and it says, I'm not that smart. So it says, I was thinking about how we are in a time that seems natural. Okay, getting here required a lot of manipulation over generations of the average working folks, first indoctrinated into the concepts of communism through labor unions. Labor unions are about the only functional thing a communist can produce, and its success is often used to transition the working person into the communist ideology, for example, the collectivist urge. But it never acknowledges the ultimately corrosive nature of the relationship between the employer and employee. Eventually, the rising costs of avoiding strike prices the goods beyond the point where the employee can afford to purchase it, and except out of loyalty, and all consumers do not share that loyalty, so they find cheaper alternatives, killing the host. While the adults are being indoctrinated into the collectivist fold as a means to better their lives, the children were indoctrinated into the concepts of the goodness of the state because they were being taught in state-run schools by teachers who benefited from the collectivist notion of labor unions. The media swung hard left to back up and substantiate this indoctrination, where the sense that this is all natural despite the manipulations employed is that everything in nature is in the process of growth or decay. In 1776, the British Empire was reaching the apex of its growth and was beginning the process of decay. In 1860, the United States had grown from a fledgling republic to a world power, but the Constitution of 1787 was at that 80-year mark and was taking as many assaults as it could stand, and something had to break. Everything had its own set of hypocrisies. Free speech is great, but through free speech comes the weapons with which to abolish free speech. So it cannot be completely free. But when it restrains enough to guarantee it, it is essentially lost. The Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms works until the proliferation of arms puts too many in the hands of those who would use them to overthrow the system that guarantees it. But the minute that right is diminished in any way, it establishes the means to regulate it out of existence, assisted fully by a communist-dominated media. Eventually, these hypocrisies on enough levels and concerning enough areas of life leads naturally from freedom to bondage. Everything that makes us free costs us freedom. There is no way around it, because human nature is a process of static. The minute one group can get another group to accept any concession whatsoever, it becomes the starting point for decline of one group and the starting point of ascension for the other. When the group that is ascending reaches its apex, it will come under attack and eventually fall by the same dynamics that it rose. This is America in 2018. Communists in America have been growing stronger and stronger, using the institutions of the republic against itself, demanding more and more concessions. The communists feel they are at their best and can topple the republic. The manifestations of this truth are groups like Black Lives Matter that calls for the assassination of police officers with the support of some in government. Antifa that aggressively assault Trump supporters does so with support from some of those in government. Caravans of illegal immigrants seeking to break down the borders between Mexico and the United States with the support of some of those in government signal that the destruction of America is being abetted by those in government. That belief comes from the concessions already made by normal Americans who do not generally see aggressive actions being taken against them individually. They don't recognize an assault on their institutions for what it is, a crumbling of the republic on a piece of by peace bias. They accept some reductions of free speech as means to keep the peace in their relations with other Americans who might come from different cultures and backgrounds. They accept some reductions in the right to keep and bear arms as a means to keep peace with authorities. They accept some reductions in the rights to privacy as a means to enhance their security. But when none of these concessions keep the peace with others, with authorities, or make them safer, they begin to question the wisdom of those concessions. This is evident in 2018 on a number of levels. The effort to avoid labels, racist, bigot, homophobe, Islamophobe have not worked. They are as such, no matter how compliant they are to the new dictates of the communists behind them, and the growing rebellion is the result. So this article goes on and it talks about this decay that's going on in America. And it says in the bottom line, it says, therefore, it's vital that Americans recognize the attacks upon their institutions are not individual issues, coordinated to appear that overall strategy of complete destruction is implemented. So kind of some really sobering things. It talks about false flags that are being used to deceive in order to forward the agenda. All this type of thing that are taking place, and we're seeing this right before our very eyes. We have an election that's taking place in about a week, and in spite of that, we have Hillary Clinton coming out and saying that they will not be civil until they take back the House of Representatives and the Senate. And so, in other words, the leadership of the left is saying, continue your incivility, continue these uprisings,
Continue your terrorist acts.
Your destruction of our culture until we have our way. And that is truly kind of a reputation.
Isn't that what a 2- and 3-year-old does?
Well, it's a temper tantrum. It sure is. But it's the same cycle. If you want to look at these turnings that are going on, it's the same cycle that took place in the prior Russia when the Bolsheviks took over and became the Soviet Union. So, what are we seeing at play? What role do we have as believers is there anything as believers can we do to maybe stop or try to preserve what we have and the freedoms that we
Yes.
have.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts, Sandy?
Well, I think I preached on it on Shabbat. And we may not have the authority in the second heaven where the principalities, rulers, and authorities lie. We have our terrestrial, our earthly authority here to take dominion over the air, the sea, the land, demonic stuff here. But what we do have is repentance. And if we look at Daniel, if we look at Chronicles, if we look at the different times, even Yeshua, even Abraham and Moshe, we need to be on our face as a people, even I dare say at the same time. But if we are truly believers, we need to be on our face crying out for Yah to bring forth justice, to not let this country further slip away in the enemy's agenda win. We need to be on our face in repentance for this nation. I don't care if we didn't participate in it. That is the key, and that is the weapon that we have, and it's mighty. But it didn't take one or two people to get us here. Many people got us here to this place. Therefore, many people, we all should be on our face crying out in repentance, literal crying out, fasting, praying, intercession. That should be our job as a people from here. Well, always, but especially here through the election. We need to be on our face about these things, that the enemy would be pushed back. The invasion that's coming forth our way is not only a physical invasion, there's a spiritual invasion that's coming forth with it prophetically. That's beyond even what we understand. What's our position as believers? On our face. And that is what we should do. That's our weapon. And it will literally completely annihilate the enemy's plans if we will do it. And one or two is great. It's good. But for the magnitude of the issues we have, it needs to be every believer. At least, everyone. And we need to spread the word. Let's set up times. Let's get on our face at least every day, or at least once a week or something. But every day would be good. There was prayer around the clock of intercession. It would shift what's happening here. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right. So think about this, James. When we've got this election that's coming up, does the election matter? Is it important for us to get out there to vote, or with the things that are happening upon this nation, when we're looking at a corruption of a nation and the downward spiral, considering that even the invasion of a migrant horde is a biblical judgment against a nation, will it matter? Will the elections matter?
Yes.
What are your thoughts, James?
Yeah, I've played this back in my head for a long time. I agree. Yes, the elections matter, but I also have had a hard time with it because do you vote for the better evil? Now, I do believe with Donald Trump that I truly believe that just as Cyrus was, you read about Cyrus earlier and you were talking about him in the beginning, that just as Cyrus was anointed by God, I truly believe something big and powerful is happening with Trump, that he is almost like, was put there to basically stir up the masses, to stir up the things that are going on. But I don't want to vote for the better evil. So if you're going to put a Bush and you're going to put a Clinton together, I'm not voting for either. Now, if I feel like God has led me to vote, yeah, absolutely. I think these midterms, I think the coming election, I think it matters. But I don't want to vote for the better evil anymore. Well, he's the better of the two. No, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to vote for whoever God puts on my heart to vote for. And I think it does matter right now because we as a nation are being stampeded by communism. Karl Marx wrote the 10 planks of communism, of how to destroy a nation. And literally they are going one by one by one by one, destroying our nation. You take away their religion. You take away the fact, what makes them a nation, borders. You take away all these different things and you destroy the country that God had given us. And so I do believe it's important, but I also am not going to be a part of, oh, well, he's the better of two evils anymore. I'm not doing that.
That's a good point. Because fortunately in the past, that's what's happened is we've been given that the better of two evils, and I look back at some of my choices in elections, and I think, boy, I voted for the better of two evils, but boy, Wow.
But then you have the issue is that no vote is actually a vote for the worst vote, the worst.
Yeah, and that's true too.
And that's an issue too.
Yeah.
And that's, I hear so many out there say, well, I'm not going to vote because I don't believe your vote does matter. And the word of God actually says that we need to elect godly leaders. And, that's be, but I know right now that, well,
Well, let's put it this way: in some precincts, the choice was decided by 5 or 10 people that voted within a precinct. So
or who didn't vote.
Yeah. So it is so important that what if 5 or 10 other people came in and voted to cancel out those votes of the people we don't want in there? That's why it's really important for us to get out there. I also have to say this is that I'm encouraging everybody. I said it in the war room earlier today. I've been saying it to our congregation, is that it's important that everybody get out to vote early, because we don't know what's going to happen on election day. We don't know what the weather's going to be like that will hinder people. We don't know if our car's going to break down on that day, or if there's going to be a crisis at work, or if there's going to be something that will prevent us from getting, could be sickness, could prevent us from getting to the poll. I think of this election, there is a reason to get out more than any other time. Let me read a couple comments that are also in this article that kind of go with this. It says, when there is no way to unravel the complex and interconnected web of deceit and insurgency behind the communist push through peaceful means, there is a chance to swing the balance of power more into line with the republic and away from the communists. And when we think about that, we have lost many rights here. But if we can restore the republic, maybe we can swing the pendulum back. But this is a twofold thing. We need to look at this. I mean, you're talking about in the Haftorah, we have a division, two different things. We have a divided nation right now. Why do we have a divided nation? It's because the nations turn their back on God. And it says the chance is offered up in the 2018 election. The communists have put their best foot forward, but a way to kick that foot out from under them would be a resounding defeat in the 2018 election, not as a solution, but as a statement and encouragement to others to resist the communist narrative. And it says the election will solve nothing other than to deal a defeat to the communists who have been on a winning streak for a long time. It would be one small defeat, but at this point, they have suffered none. The Brett Kavanaugh confirmation was but the result of a skirmish. It was like a scaled-down version of Fort Sumter. It hurts and clearly marked the divisions, the tactics, and the winning response to those tactics. So I think I really like what it says. It's making a statement, and it's also going to be an encouragement for others. But let me just put it this way, because Sandi, you brought this up, and I thought this is really important for us to also accentuate. One of the things that I believe was the turning point in the last election in restoring our republic, and that is because Yahweh's people humbled themselves and they prayed. And many fasted and prayed. And I believe that was a turning point for this nation. Reprieve. Some said, I don't want to call that a reprieve because why is it they don't like calling it a reprieve? Because, do you want to delay the date of the wedding? But I want to say this. I think Yahweh, in his great loving kindness, gave us a chance to be introspective and really review what's important for us in this nation. And in these last 2 years, I think that's really been shown. It's really shown what people want, what's important to the people. And hopefully that message is so loud and clear with the results of this coming election that it will make a decisive statement against these communistic narratives, these globalists that want to destroy our nation and divide us and to break us down. And really, ultimately, as one of those reports said, they want to even destroy the population of this nation down to 90% less than what it is today by 2025. So these are some things that are really upon us. If we don't get a handle on it, what's going to happen? Where are we going to go?
Well, things like this. Beryl said there was a Muslim neighbor who petitioned his neighbor, the traveler's father, to take down his American flag. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because it offended. Hello, go somewhere else. If you get offended by America, leave America. Sorry.
Well, that's very important. I lived in Norway for 8.5 years. I lived there as an American, and that was my host nation. I respected their laws. I respected their country and their nation. And that's the way, if someone wants to come live in this nation and they want to come legally, not illegally like these hordes that are coming from the South, come in the right way and respect our nation, our laws, and our heritage, and what we have stood upon, the great freedoms and liberties that many shed their blood to preserve. So, James, do you have any other thoughts?
I'm all about assimilation, but I'm not about you coming in and telling me, hey, I need to take down my flag. I need to get rid of my God. I need to do these things so that I can conform to your country. The fact is, you're leaving your country because your country stinks. And I hate to say that bad, or it may sound bad, but you're leaving there because something's wrong. And you're coming here and then you're trying to bring your country in here and take away the things that make this country amazing and stop it.
Very good. Well, thank you, James. I'm going to let that be the last word, and we are going to move to our next segment, and that is on the Torah portion. And Sandi, you've got the Torah portion for us today.
Yeah, and it really sort of goes along with what we've been talking about. I want to center in on the verse at the very beginning of our Torah portion, Genesis 23, where Abraham says, I'm a stranger and a temporary resident among you. And if we go back to what stranger is, we know it's a ger. That's what it means in Hebrew, the pronunciation is. But I want us to understand it as a stranger in a strange land to make judgments. You can't influencing society like you can as if you're a member of society, which again, here we go. This is all of this. And rightly so. But I want us to see how shrewdly he actually dealt with when he was going to the land. He was very, very smart, because if you're not a landowner, you can't judge. What is shafat? Shafat, which is the Hebrew word for judge. What are you supposed to do? It's not like we say today, maybe in part, yes, but it's more a person who restores order and peace. If that way is the mandate of Abraham, if that's the mandate of his seed, if that's our mandate, back in the day, if you go back into ancient times, you could not have that influence or order and peace unless you own land. Only they wouldn't allow you to own land. So he comes in there and says, hey, my wife just died and I need a place to bury her. Well, that's going to have some things that follow with it, because that would mean he has to purchase land, that he would get the opportunity to purchase land if they would hear his cry when he petitioned them. And they did. Here's the next, tried to give it to him free. He said no. They tried to give him to him at partial price. He said no. If he would have said yes to any of those things, then his status as a shafat, judge, one that restores peace and justice, would have been thwarted. He wouldn't have been able to perform those things. He presented himself as oppressed in the circumstances so that he could keep his seed down the line, could bring forth righteousness and justice, which is what we're supposed to do, right? So he used great wisdom, because Abraham's social status would not have been raised to the point where he had descendants that could act as a shoftim, to bring forth justice, act to bring forth righteousness, act to bring forth shalom, if he had not purchased that land at full price. And if something hadn't have happened, that door may never have opened, or y'all would have found another way, of course. But it also meant if he wouldn't have done it at full price, Ephron and his kids, when Ephron died, could have reclaimed the land. That didn't happen. Abraham had the opportunity and the wisdom to purchase land so that he and his seed and us could bring forth what our mandate is. We need to, and that is what we need to remember. Even when we go to the voting booths, we are to restore order and peace. It doesn't matter what's going around us or what it looks like. We see miracles. We serve we do our part, and he takes. We do our part. So when Abraham purchased that land, inheritable property, which is, we need to remember, we were purchased too. And because we were purchased at full price by the blood of our Messiah, Yeshua, then we also take part in restoring righteousness and justice. And that, that's what we're here to do. It doesn't matter what we see, but we do have a mission and a commission. And we need to be restorers of the breach, just like Abraham and his seed are and were.
It's really good. In fact, one commentary that I read says that Abraham may have even paid an inflated price for the cave, and which is,
but he glad. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, James.
That's what I was going to say, is that 400 shekels, because if you look at how he says it, he says, but Ephron answered Abraham, my Lord, listen to me, a plot of land worth 400 silver shekels. What is that between me and you? He made sure to tell him, hey, this is what it's going to cost. And that 400 silver shekels is like 10 pounds of silver. And they said it was like almost double of what a plot of land would have cost during that time. I just thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, it is. And Sandy, what you said, when we think about what you're talking about, this land, and we think about the price that Yeshua paid to redeem us. When we think about that type of thing, he purchased us out of slavery and bondage, and he was willing to pay even more.
He paid everything.
He paid everything. It wasn't just enough, it was more than enough.
But he was restoring order and shalom, order and peace. And that's what we're supposed to do, because we are in a kingdom against kingdom war. And what we do, what we say matters. Are we restorers of order and peace? That's the question we should ask ourselves. What can I do to bring forth light and to live out this Torah? What can I do to reach justice and righteousness?
And so let's take it back to what we're talking about, the current events. Don't we have a responsibility then for order?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because think about this: those that are European, that you're in Europe and you're watching this, and you think about the invasion that's taken place over the last several years, where you've had so many people coming up from the Middle East and from Africa, and you've just had your open borders, and they took down those border. I remember living in Europe, and we would travel down into Europe, and we had a little 14-foot travel trailer. They called it a caravan. And we hooked it up to our little Morris Marina station wagon, and we traveled Europe that way, and we camped all over the place. But at that point in time, this was back in the 70s, and there were border crossings, and we would stop patrol, and sometimes it wasn't that big of a deal, and sometimes they would sit there, look at the passport, and they would stamp it, and they would do that sort of thing. My original passport had all sorts of stamps in it, because we get it stamped at every border control between Germany and Austria and Switzerland and Italy, France, Luxembourg. All of these different nations had border controls. Why? Because those borders protect culture.
What's inside?
They protect borders, culture, people, life, way of life, all of those different things. James, you were talking about that as well. These are the things that if someone wants to come into our nation, they want to come in legally and assimilate to our culture.
We don't.
And they are at our nation. Our arms are open. But if they're coming to this, they're coming in their own flag, to establish their own communities, to establish their own, to be rebellions, then what they have done is they've become a wedge within our culture, and ultimately, unless we protect that and put down laws, and this is sad that we have to write new laws. Do we have to protect it? Do we have to do something that will actually reestablish who we are, or do we get run over? And that, I mean,
If we're silent, we get run over. If we don't pray, we get run over.
so this is really a critical point. Has the nation gone too far? James, I'm going to ask you this: have we gone too far? Have we gone past the point of no return, or possibility by which Yahweh could restore this nation? Let's say if Yeshua tarries, and if we still have time on our hands, do we have time to restore the republic? Or have we passed that crossing point to where it's not about restoring the republic, but we're doing what we can to preserve families in our congregations? What do you think?
I think we got to get back to understanding that we are a republic. How many people think we're a democracy? I mean, they say it every day. Every day you're on the news, you hear, "Oh, we got to restore this democracy," and we're blah 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 blah. We're not a democracy. We are a republic, and that is, we are independent. We are not a democracy. We might go around the world spreading democracy, but we are a republic. And I think until we understand that, and we understand that we are a republic, it's going to be hard to restore something that they don't even know that we are. But we get back to understanding the foundation, the principles that we were established under. Then I think, yes, I think it can be but unfortunately, just as we find Yeshua, it comes through strife, it comes through turmoil. A lot of times for us to find, it's going to take a little bit of hardship for us to find our way back.
Right. James, you served in the military.
Yes, sir.
What does it make you think every time you hear in the media? Because the media uses the word democracy on purpose. They use words on purpose. Nothing's done by accident. But as you who fought for our nation and for our republic, what does it make you feel when someone is trying to misconstrue what our nation is all about, calling it a democracy and really kind of destroying the foundations?
It bothered me. It bothers me big time. When I first got back into my walk, like when I started walking towards Yeshua, I didn't know it at that point, but I was big into this. I thought God had this idea that I was going to be a freedom fighter, that I was going to fight back for our freedom. And I didn't really want much to do with the Bible at that point, because I just wanted to, I saw what was going on in this country, but God used that to bring me back to him. It bothers me though, because we are a republic. We are the principles that we were founded on. The thing is, you talked about Joseph Goebbels earlier. In the beginning, you were talking about the propagandist. That's what our media has become. They're a propaganda piece for this communist manifesto, this communist idea that if we say something enough, the people will eventually believe us. And that's what's happened with democracy. They said it enough over and over and over again to where we believe, or the people believe we're a democracy. It's insanity, but we see it happening day in and day out. It bothers me. It bothers me big time, because I didn't go to fight for a democracy. I went and fought for our republic.
And that really goes back to this agenda that's back in our government schools, where they're indoctrinating.
Which is public school. What's government school? Public school.
So where they're indoctrinating our children to not understanding the very foundations of our nation, and therefore not to be discerning, and to keep our children in ignorance, where they grow up to be voters, to vote for
ignorantly.
Yeah, to vote ignorantly, where we even know young people right now that have grown up in our congregation who was like, where did they come out with this socialistic, communistic mentality? Well, they were
from the schools,
government schools. Right. Sandi, you had something that you were pointing out there.
Well, I don't know that there's really not time, but let's go back to our declaration. When in the course of human events becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station, to which the laws and nature's God entitled them a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, requires that they should declare the causes which that impel them to the separation. And it goes on from there. Guys, let's go back to the beginning. Let's understand this nation. We are a republic, and we need to fight for the republic. Yeah, it maybe the time clock is over. Maybe there are things that can't be reversed, but that still doesn't negate our job. It's still to be on our face, praying for our leaders and praying for this nation, because Yah can do miracles. Nineveh was to be destroyed. They had a short time, 40 days. Guess what? At the last minute, the king got on his face. And when the leaders repent, things completely shift. For Nineveh was to be completely destroyed, but they weren't. Their debauchery, their evil was so great, but they were saved because there was prayer, because there was a repentance, and their leader, their king repented. We need to pray for our leaders. We
That's
need to be
right.
on our face repenting, and we need to be praying that our leaders repent.
Excellent point. Wow, great discussion, great Torah portion there, Sandy. Thank you for bringing that in. And some of these things all relate to these current events: the Haftorah, the Brit Chadasha. I mean, even if I just mention this on the Haftorah, what's it talking about? It's the tale of two princes. It was about Abaniah and Solomon, and who would become the king. I mean, it's a divided issue, divided nation, and it's only prayer that can resolve it and turn the hearts of men. So, well, hey, just a great show today. I just wanted to mention some things as we close out today, that we want to invite you to go to the Lamb Radio webpage, and you can find out more about what's happening here on LambTube and Lamb Radio. And if you would like to get email updates, you can sign up on the homepage. You will not get spammed, but you're going to get information about what's happening in our world, in our community. And our sponsors, we have sponsors for Lamb Radio, and you can click on the banners and go and visit them and purchase their products. When you do that, you're supporting them, but you're also supporting Lamb Radio and LambTube. And when you make a donation to Lamb Radio, you also are a sponsor. And we sure appreciate what you do to help keep this ministry going forward. Tomorrow, we have the Together, which is called Chameleon Church. It's hosted by Alan Aguirre, discussing biblical antidotes for the modern man, co-hosted by Jamie Louie, Tom Collins, and Rabberg. So you don't want to miss out on that show. Here, it's going to be live on YouTube, and also on Lamb Radio. So I want to say thank you, James Meyers from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Sure appreciate you joining today and joining Sandy and I. Sandy, thank you for being my co-host as well. Co-hostess? Are you my co-hostess?
Coast is fine.
Yeah. There you go. And we sure appreciate you, our listener and our viewers, and we thank you for being part of our conversation. So until next time, I want to say shalom and have a blessed week.